Right now, two New Jersey congressmen and the Fort Lee mayor are calling for a plan to protect New Jersey drivers from the controversial congestion pricing plan for driving into Manhattan south of 60th Street. They're in Fort Lee, New Jersey, to provide more details on the proposed legislation. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 9th District. Remember that, Josh. And I welcome my buddy here, Josh Gottheimer. And whenever you see us, you know there's trouble ahead. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you
for being here with us, and the members of the City Council are here as well. It's going to cost over $10 to drive into the busiest neighborhoods in Manhattan, from 60th Street in Midtown all the way to the Battery. The fees are part of a new congestion pricing. The plan is in the new $175 billion New York State budget. New York will become the first American city to charge such fees. They're expected to raise billions of dollars to fix the city's subway system. We got to find out who's going to be paying these billions of dollars. Where's the money coming from? And that's why we're here today. To be imposed on vehicles that enter Manhattan below 60th Street, and the fees will not start till 2021. Amounts have not yet been decided, by the way. A plan proposed by the governor, Governor Cuomo, would establish a panel of experts to set the fees when they're finally go into action, are finally implemented in 2021. The Tri-Borough Bridge and the Tunnel Authority, which is part of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, they'll collect the fees. A traffic expert known as Gridlock Sam Schwartz, says drivers will probably pay between $12 and $14 per car, and around $25 for trucks entering the city during peak business and traffic hours. It'll be a little less at night, it'll be a little less on weekends. So you got a general idea what this is going to cost. Drivers who have already used toll tunnels or the Henry Hudson Bridge from the Bronx to Manhattan would receive a credit toward the congestion fees. Drivers across the Brooklyn Bridge, headed directly north on the famous FDR Drive, past 60th Street would not be charged. The new fees would be charged through an electronic telling system. This I gotta see. Most likely expanding upon existing Easy Pass. So, I'm here with Josh. He's got a great proposal. He's worked on it. Believe it or not, in the short period of time, he's worked on it a lot. I know that for a fact. So, we're used to getting the short end of the stick in New Jersey. It's part of the way, that's why one of the reasons why we're tough over here. We know what's coming usually, and we're ready to jump on it. We pay our fair share and then some. With the tolls, we look at every time we come into the city, we don't need to pay any more at all at those toll spots. Congestion pricing is a raw deal for New Jersey commuters as it stands today. Congressman Gottheimer is joining me on a letter to Governor Cuomo, laying out our deep concerns with his proposal, the governor's proposal, and demanding consultation with New Jersey communities affected by his poorly conceived plan. New York would try to tack on another burden on us, and we're not going to accept it. The money they'll be getting from our pockets will be used solely at this point to upgrade the New York City infrastructure. And that is really an insult to folks that live in New Jersey. What we're proposing is sensible, as the needs of computers in the region go beyond what happens in Lower Manhattan. If New York goes forward with this, they must look at sharing the money gained with New Jersey, period. They must look at sharing that money, and they better get used to hearing it. Sharing it with the New Jersey Transit, with the Port Authority. We have some of our Port Authority police here today. We jointly administer, both of us, both states administer this, so that it can go to the GW Bridge right behind us. The Lincoln and Holland tunnels, to the PATH system, to the Port Authority bus terminal. Remember the Port Authority? Most people don't, because bus travel isn't very sexy these days. But who uses it? Millions of working middle-class folks. It's been decaying and in the need of replacement for decades. Work held up repeatedly by our friends across the water. Why not focus on resources to ease the commute of these hard-working folks? And I want to make one more point. Marshaling a concerted effort to fight climate change is one of the challenges of our time. So seeking ways to crack down on pollution and promoting public transit systems is a good thing. No one is debating the general wisdom of either. Here in Fort Lee, you're looking over the George Washington Bridge, we get a picture of the impact on all of us. If New York imposes a tax on everyone coming into Manhattan through the Lincoln and Holland tunnels, what do you think will happen to traffic on this bridge? Fort Lee and surrounding communities will be bearing the burden of increased traffic and air pollution. And I'm sure the mayor would love to hear that, since he's gone through that experience over the last several years, and you've gone through that experience. But just as we must look ahead for the generations that will follow us, we must balance that outlook with the focus of our needs today. Our constituents have burdens to shoulder, costs to pay. So any solutions cannot be successful if they don't take into account the ability of our already squeezed Americans to pay more. We're not here today to pick a fight. New Jersey and New York are on the same team. We're not in competition. We work together, and we depend on each other economically, socially, and culturally. New Jersey's priorities are New York's priorities, and vice versa. But we will not back down. Hear this, please. We will not back down from a fight to protect New Jersey families either. We're positive about that, right?
That's right.
So now let me welcome my friend and my colleague from the north, Josh Gottheimer, to New Jersey's 9th Congressional District. I hope you're having a good time today in my district, Josh. You have an hour to stay here, and you got to get back to your own district.
Thanks for the visa. Thanks, Bill. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you having us. I want to thank the brothers and sisters of the Port Authority, PBA, who are here, and all law enforcement. I want to thank the freeholder chair from my district, Joan Voss. And I also want to thank the councilwoman who is here from Fort Lee, and the councilman who's here, and the council president who's here. Thank you very much for having me in the district, Bill. I appreciate it. Very grateful. Thank you. We're standing here today in the shadow right here, the GW Bridge, where every day 289,000 people drive in and out of Manhattan from Bergen County and from all over the state. Many of them, as you know, work in New York. We're going in to support their families. And some are headed to New York City to spend a day with family and friends in a great city. The relationship between New York and New Jersey, as Bill said, is a driving economic force, not only in the country, but in the world. It's always been, and we've always stood and worked together. Every day, a massive portion of the global economy travels between our two states, about $100 million a day in the region. This region is the economic nerve center of the world. And it's in no small part thanks to the incredible people from my state, from Jersey, especially here in northern New Jersey, with an educated and diverse workforce that can compete with any country around the globe. According to the most recent census data, nearly 400,000 New Jersey residents not only work in New York City, but they also filed and paid taxes also in New York. Most of these folks are daily commuters into the city. From financial services to life sciences, our deep and historic relationship benefits both states. It's why we've shared and worked cooperatively on everything from transportation and infrastructure projects through the Port Authority to environmental cleanup projects to fighting crime and terror. We're working together to strengthen our regional airports and fighting together tirelessly against intractable forces from the red states to build the Gateway Project and to stop double taxation and reinstate SALT, the state and local tax deduction. We're working together on the Never Forget the Heroes Act to extend the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund so we can have the backs of our first responders and others who've always had our backs, especially in our darkest hours. The bottom line, when New York does well, it helps Jersey. When Jersey does well, it helps New York. So you can imagine, to my surprise and to many of our surprise, last month, out of the blue, our friends and teammates in New York State Legislature announced a budget deal that would include a new congestion tax targeting New Jersey commuters. We didn't see it coming. As we say here in Jersey, with friends like these, who needs enemies? Under the new plan, when commuters go across this bridge and drive into Midtown, they'll be whacked not just with the $15 toll here, which is absurd, but now an additional $8 to $12 or more when they drive south of 60th Street. That's outrageous double taxation, and it's at its finest. That's absurd on all fronts. It's even more galling, unlike the shared Port Authority resources from the tolls on this bridge that help New York and New Jersey. Every nickel of this new congestion tax goes into New York's pockets, to their MTA, to help fix their issues. Thousands of Jersey drivers, many from my district and of course from Bill's district, who commute every day will face a new congestion tax of about $3,000 a year. Simple math. That's a lot of money. Proposing a new regressive congestion tax out of the blue to New Jersey commuters who already pay a fortune is no way to make this region stronger. So I'm hoping, like Bill said, that New York comes to its senses and we could sit down together, cooperatively and constructively, as we always have, eliminate this new double tax on New Jersey commuters. I understand New York's desire to increase funding for their subway system. I get it. There's plenty of roads here that Bill and I would like to fix near here. But in Jersey, our taxpayers already contribute to the billions in federal transportation dollars that New York subways get every year. Not to mention, as I said, what we pay in New York income taxes, many of our residents do, and what we spend in New York's restaurants and their stores and on their shows. New York just can't come along and take an additional 2x4 to our head just because they feel like it. That's why in the coming days, I'll be introducing bipartisan legislation with Republican Congressman Chris Smith from Jersey to encourage New York to reconsider this new, outrageous congestion tax on New Jersey commuters. The Anti-Congestion Tax Act, or as I also like to call it, the Manhattan Moocher Prevention Act, takes two concrete solutions. First, the Anti-Congestion Tax Act will prohibit the Secretary of Transportation from awarding any new capital investment grants to the MTA projects in New York until drivers from all three New Jersey crossings into Manhattan receive exemptions from this new congestion tax. That's part one. Part two, the Anti-Congestion Tax Act will amend the Internal Revenue Code to offer drivers a federal tax credit at the end of the year equal to the amount paid in congestion taxes entering Manhattan from any one of the three New Jersey crossings. This will protect Jersey drivers from double taxation. Here's the good news, and Bill, you'll like this. This legislative approach is not without precedent. In 1985, Congressman Guy Molinari from Staten Island used the same idea to push New York to change its tolling practices on the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. He thought those tolls were hosing people from Staten Island, and he wasn't going to let New York get away with it. So in '86, the U.S. Department of Transportation Appropriations Act, Congressman Molinari inserted a provision that would have docked the state of New York of some of its federal funding from the Department of Transportation unless it removed its two-way tolling on the bridge. and instituted a one-way tolling going into Staten Island. Guess what? He got it done. So, we've got clear precedent for congressional action when it comes to stopping regressive tolls that tax one group of Americans just to fix another group's problems. We can't let New York off the hook for trying to pull one over on Jersey. We never have, and if we work cooperatively together, we'll stop it. Last point. It would be one thing if our suburban commuters had a ton of other transit options to get into New York City to work every day. Unfortunately, they don't. If you're in Franklin Lakes or Newton or Knowlton or Ringwood in my district, and plenty of places in Bill's district, your options are limited. Too few bus lines and too many failing trains. Finally, there's just no consistency in New York's congestion tax plan. Whether a new congestion tax plan exempts drivers using certain crossings into Manhattan, like the Holland and Lincoln tunnels you've probably read about, and for some reason excludes the GW Bridge behind us, the most heavily trafficked bridge on the planet. In other words, if you take the Lincoln or Midtown tunnel, you get exempted from the congestion tax. They claim it's because the GW Bridge doesn't go right into Midtown, so that's why there's no exemption. But here's the rub, and in what seems like blatant hypocrisy. The Henry Hudson Bridge won't get hit with the congestion tax. And you all know where that is. That's actually further north of Midtown Manhattan. So clear hypocrisy. If they're going to let them off the hook, why aren't they letting the GW Bridge off the hook? Seems like they're going after Jersey here. As I said, they're trying to rob us blind, even though Jersey residents are already some of the leading contributors to New York state income tax. In fact, the income taxes paid by New Jersey commuters equaled the total income tax owed by 1.3 million people in the western New York region. That's how much we pay from New Jersey to help New York in their income taxes. Lastly, with none of these congestion taxes going to support Path or New Jersey Transit, as Bill said, there's no way around it. New Jersey is guaranteed to get hosed. That's why I really support, and I'm signing on to Congressman Pascrell's letter to the governor, asking him to do the right thing here. Back off doubly taxing New Jersey commuters. But if they go ahead with their congestion tax, they should at least share the funds with Jersey. The Path, New Jersey Transit, make sure that they take care of Jersey and make sure these two crucial ways to get in and out of New York from New Jersey are taken care of and helped. I know that if we work together, like we always have, we can do it. Bill's office and my office, we've talked about this. We're hearing nonstop from residents, from our constituents, about how upset they are about this new double taxation. We gotta work together as we always have. New Jersey and New York are a tough combination when we work together. No one can beat us, especially here in the greatest country in the world. But as Lincoln always said, a house divided itself cannot stand. So let's stand together. New Jersey and New York, and I asked New York, pull back on this proposal. Let's sit down at the table. Let's all work together. But if they don't, we got no other choice but to dig in and fight back Jersey style, something I learned from Mr. Pascrell. And that's what we plan to do together. Thank you. God bless you, and may God bless the greatest country in the world. Questions?
Well, we have been listening to details about a plan to protect New Jersey commuters from the congestion pricing plan to travel into Manhattan. The proposed legislation from Congressman Gottheimer and Pascrell, you heard them there, it calls for changes so that New Jersey commuters don't have to pay twice. They are sending a letter to Governor Cuomo outlining this argument. The proposed legislation prohibits grants to the MTA until drivers from all 3 New Jersey crossings receive exemptions from the congestion tax. It also amends a tax code to offer a tax credit equal to the amount paid in congestion fees from any of the New Jersey crossings. Right now, we're taking a quick break, but next is the CBS 2 News at noon.